Max Verstappen is officially tired of carrying the entire weight of the Milton Keynes squad on his shoulders, and what started as a whisper in the paddock has just escalated into a full-blown nuclear threat. The Dutchman is prepared to tear up his record-breaking contract and deliver a cold goodbye and thank you much sooner than anyone ever anticipated. We are not talking about 2028 anymore. We are talking about a lethal technical performance trigger that could be pulled by the end of this current 2026 season. The three-time world champion has made it crystal clear that he is not in Formula One to simply collect records like Lewis Hamilton. He is here to dominate with the absolute best machinery available. Here is the massive problem. If the Red Bull Ford power unit fails to deliver the promised horsepower, or if the energy recovery system mapping falters on the long straights, the ultimate contractual escape hatch swings wide open. If Max finishes the European summer stretch outside of the top three in the standings, a specific performance clause allows him to become the most dangerous free agent in the history of the driver market. As the champion eyes the exit door, Sakhir is being thrown directly into the eye of the hurricane as his newest teammate. The young Frenchman becomes the sixth driver to occupy that cursed second seat since Daniel Ricciardo's original departure, and his mission is nothing short of a nightmare. Verstappen's advice to the rookie was blunt and brutal. Show up convinced that you can actually beat me. Sakhir's track record is a definitive all-or-nothing affair that has the engineers on edge. While the kid possesses raw, unadulterated qualifying speed and has already snatched podium finishes, he carries that heavy-handed reputation that the Red Bull hierarchy absolutely detests. Devastating crashes in Baku and amateurish mistakes during private testing sessions in the pouring rain prove that his technical refinement is still miles away from the gold standard required at this level. The massive question mark for 2026 remains the unpredictable behavior of this brand new chassis, specifically regarding the weight distribution of the massive battery packs. Sakhir will have to learn on the fly how to master the complex energy deployment without sacrificing his overall race trim and long-run pace. If he starts sandbagging during practice sessions or gets completely lost while trying to dial in the complex suspension geometry, his career at the top will be over before it even starts. While the entire Formula One world was distracted by the raging wildfire over at Red Bull and the never-ending Max Verstappen contract saga, Mercedes was operating in absolute silence during the preseason tests in Bahrain. Let me tell you, what I witnessed rolling out of the Brackley garage on the final day of testing was not just a simple aerodynamic update. It was a definitive technical declaration of war. While Ferrari was making noise with highly visible innovations, Toto Wolff and his army of engineers kept their cards hidden until the very last second, finally revealing a brand new Mercedes W17 that looks like it belongs in a completely different racing category. The massive technical bombshell is hidden right in the rear wing assembly. Sam Collins, who never misses a single detail in the pit lane, was left absolutely speechless by what he called fascinating extensions on the leading edges of the wing. The talk circulating through the paddock is that Mercedes sought inspiration from the legendary long-tail Porsche 917. These are not merely pressure sensors for data collection. We are looking at sophisticated aerodynamic appendages that promise an absurd level of airflow stability at high speeds, effectively neutralizing the turbulence that has plagued them for years. The Mercedes W17 hit the track with a radical interpretation of the active aerodynamics regulations that has left the Red Bull designers scratching their heads in confusion. While the rest of the grid is utilizing two mobile flaps, Mercedes has made the bold move to activate only one. They have physically attached the nose to the central element of the wing, completely ignoring the general design trend of the 2026 season. This is a masterstroke designed to clean up the airflow traveling toward the underfloor, ensuring that every single kilowatt of battery energy deployment is used for pure acceleration rather than fighting against air resistance. Recent telemetry data suggests that Mercedes has finally cured its chronic struggle with tire thermal balance, a nightmare that haunted the team for the last 3 seasons. If this long-tail aerodynamic package functions exactly as the simulations suggest, Mercedes may have found the golden ticket to dominate this new era of synthetic fuels and high-output electric motors. By reducing drag so significantly, they are maximizing the efficiency of the internal combustion engine while keeping the rubber in the perfect operating window for an entire race distance. While Mercedes may have discovered the golden ticket with their Porsche-inspired rear wing, and Max Verstappen already has 1 foot out the door at Red Bull, Aston Martin has just realized they bought a winning lottery ticket, but entirely in reverse. What was supposed to be the undisputed dream team of Formula One, uniting the aerodynamic genius of Adrian Newey with the legendary Honda power units, has officially mutated into the single greatest technical disaster I have witnessed in the paddock over the last 10 years. The hype has evaporated, replaced by a cold, hard reality that is sending shockwaves through Silverstone. The Honda power unit, designated the RA262H, is currently proving to be a complete technological failure of epic proportions. The telemetry data circulating behind closed doors in the garages is absolutely terrifying. The power unit is absurdly overweight, and even worse, it completely lacks top-end stamina. While their main rivals are pushing the absolute limits of the 470 horsepower hybrid energy deployment, Honda cannot even sustain a basic 335 horsepower output without the entire system triggering an emergency safe mode to prevent a total meltdown. Lance Stroll finally lost his cool and dropped a massive bombshell during the media sessions. The Aston Martin Challenger is currently trailing the leaders by a staggering 4 seconds per lap. In the elite world of Formula One, that is not a minor setup issue or a slight aerodynamic imbalance. That is a gargantuan canyon between racing categories. The car has not even managed to complete a full race simulation because the internal combustion engine and the battery energy storage units are overheating to a dangerous degree. And here is the real poison in the well. Adrian Newey's aerodynamic philosophy is so tightly packaged and so obsessively focused on clean airflow that the Honda engine simply cannot breathe. The crisis runs even deeper because Newey, being the uncompromising genius that he is, flatly refuses to compromise his aerodynamic work of art just to provide more cooling for the Japanese engineers. He has essentially washed his hands of the situation, shifting the entire burden of this cooling nightmare onto the shoulders of the new Group Chief Executive Officer, Andy Cowell. We are looking at a total internal war between the chassis department and the engine suppliers while the car languishes at the back of the grid. While Red Bull is suffering through a marriage in crisis with Max Verstappen and Aston Martin desperately tries to extinguish the technical wildfire surrounding their Honda power unit, the atmosphere inside Ferrari is pure bunker mentality. Lewis Hamilton has finally broken his silence following a 2025 campaign that was, to put it mildly, a massive bucket of ice-cold water on his championship hopes. But don't let the quiet fool you. Behind those red garage doors, something clinical and calculated is happening that could shift the entire balance of power in Formula One. Fred Vasseur is currently playing a high-stakes game of chess in the middle of a literal minefield. The Ferrari team principal knows better than anyone that the Italian press is a meat grinder that takes absolute pleasure in roasting directors at the very first chicane. Whispers are circulating through the paddock that he only has a 1-year contract extension on the table, but he simply shrugged those rumors off with total indifference. Vasseur is acting as a human lightning rod, filtering out every single decibel of external noise so his engineers can remain hyper-focused on what actually matters: pure, unadulterated performance. The technical data coming out of Maranello is what is currently keeping the competition awake at night. Preseason testing telemetry indicates that Ferrari has finally conquered their chronic Achilles heel: excessive tire degradation during long-distance race simulations. The brand-new SF26 has debuted with a revolutionary energy recovery system deployment map that is significantly more linear. This prevents those violent torque spikes that used to destabilize the rear end during low-speed corner exits, effectively gluing the car to the asphalt. It is a machine that is perfectly balanced, precisely what Lewis Hamilton's surgical driving style requires to punish his rivals over a full race distance. Hamilton has been vocal about artificial intelligence and cutting-edge simulation technologies lately, but the code behind that talk is simple. He is now fully integrated into the Maranello simulator around the clock. His recent comments about maintaining curiosity serve as a direct warning to anyone who thought he would lose his edge amidst the glamour of the Ferrari brand. Lewis is more technically involved than ever before, personally micromanaging every detail of the internal aerodynamic airflow to ensure the 067-3 power unit does not suffer from the catastrophic overheating we are currently witnessing over at Aston Martin. What is your take on Fred Vasseur's defensive posture? Is he right to completely ignore the brutal Italian media? Or is the internal pressure in Maranello simply impossible to contain for much longer? More importantly, do you believe the SF26 is truly the machine that will deliver Lewis Hamilton's 8th world title? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a single detail of this behind-the-scenes engineering war, and I will see you on the next lap. A big hug, thanks for watching, and I am out of here.